Kingsview Asset Management CIO Scott Martin is here with me now. Scott, you lived there 25 years. Have you ever seen it this bad?
No, it's getting bad, David. And after the facts that Grady laid out about the taxes alone, I'm moving. I'm calling the moving company right now. David, we've actually been talking about it for a while and still have some things here we got to take care of. But I do look at relocation a lot, just like was pointed out about Citadel and Ken Griffin. The funny part about what I think the experience that Ken Griffin had was, as Grady said, he tried to put money into the races, 50 million or so, if you count it right, with respect to getting, as they said here, David, they tried to vilify the guy for basically trying to dominate the election and take over and things like that. He's trying to improve the business climate and the social climate of the city, and he gets wrecked for it. And that's the problem with the politics here.
Well, how many times that's a problem with politicians everywhere, starting at the top, starting with President Biden. I mean, he says we need oil, and then he vilifies the people who produce it. I mean, it's so common where you want everything, but you're not willing to incentivize anybody to get it.
Right, or make consequences. I mean, Lori Lightfoot, State's Attorney Kim Foxx come out and say, we don't want gun violence. We want everybody to enjoy the beautiful city, which it is. I mean, look at this behind me. Gorgeous. But guess what? Like was pointed out in one of the comments there, people are scared to walk around. People are nervous. And the consequences, David, don't exist. The reform of cash bail, the fact that people get out when they commit an aggressive crime, they go back on the street, recommit the crime, get out again. How does that deter people from going out and hurting innocent people?
Yeah, well, 34% increase in violent crime. I don't think there's ever been a case where year over year there's been a 34% increase in violent crime. Where do Pritzker and Lightfoot live, by the way? How can they remain in a bubble so totally ignorant of what's happening to the people around them?
In the city, and the great question about that is they get security just beefed up around their homes.
Of course they do.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Like,
we should mention, by the way, for those who don't know, that Pritzker's a billionaire. So he even if he didn't get public funds for protection, he could afford it himself. But you know, it hit very close to home, as I'm sure you know. Gianno Caldwell, who's a wonderful, wonderful person who works here at Fox. There he is with his younger brother, much younger brother, who was killed on Friday as a result of gun violence. We don't know all the details, but he was murdered. It was the worst day in Gianno's existence, as he put it. I mean, when it hits people, do you know anybody personally who has been affected by that uptick in crime?
A lot of them, David. I mean, folks who have been either robbed or carjacked, or in the case of Gianno's young dear brother, folks that know people who've been killed on the South Side or anywhere, frankly. And this stuff just keeps repeating, David. And the sad part about it is, what's great about what Gianno said is hopefully this brings to light some focus that we need on this stuff. Because unfortunately, as you mentioned how bad the stats are, David, when the stats get so terrible, a couple, killings here, a few more carjacking there, robberies there, attacks, those kind of go under the radar because it's like, oh, well, the data's already bad. The data's already been shocking, so more just doesn't seem to pile on as much as it used to because, like you asked me in the first question, it's gotten so much worse that it's kind of like, it's kind of standard. And that's the attitude a lot of the folks have here, and that's got to change. And that changes with new representation.
By the way, I don't know what Pritzker's talking about when talking about people moving back, because the stats are clear that people are voting with their feet. They're leaving Illinois. I think it's the leader. That's the only thing that it leads in is the number of people leaving the state. So it's a horrible state. And they
move here, David. They move here for a couple years, and then they leave. They try it, and then they say, we're out of here. We're sorry we came back. Bye-bye.
By the way, any chance of that Republican, Richard Irvin, winning?
I doubt it, because you know what? Pritzker's got a stranglehold on the state because of a lot of the history here, and the problem is too a lot of the voters in Chicago very, very liberal and very focused towards the Democratic side.
They're going to go bankrupt then, because you lose the people and you lose the tax revenues and you go bankrupt. Unlike the federal government, you can't print your own money.
Could be the first state to file bankruptcy. The city might. Hello, Detroit.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Scott. Good luck in Chicago. We appreciate you being here. Well, it's been a wild ride for